First contact and warning. The bridge of the Imperial scout vessel Vigilant was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Commander Xalax stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow from the navigation console. The Vigilant had traveled to thousands of star systems on behalf of the Solaran Empire, identifying new worlds for conquest and integration. This solar system was supposed to be like any other, a routine scouting mission. Status report, Xalax ordered, his vertical pupils narrowing as he studied the holographic display. Science Officer Vereen, a slender figure with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath, responded without looking up from her station. The system contains 8 planets orbiting a Class G main sequence star. The third planet shows signs of civilization, designated as Category 3 on the Imperial Development Scale. Category 3. Primitive. The classification made Xalax's mouth ridge curl into what his species considered a smile. Category 3 meant the civilization had basic industrialization, perhaps rudimentary space travel, but nothing that could challenge the might of the Solaran Empire. Life signs, he asked. Approximately 8 billion sentients. Vereen replied. They call themselves humans. They've established minor outposts on their satellite and the 4th planet, but haven't expanded further. Their technology appears to be several centuries behind Imperial standards. Tactical Officer Zol, a robust being with a carapace that clicked softly when he moved, added, they engage in frequent territorial conflicts among themselves. Their military capabilities are divided along geographical lines. No unified defense forces. Conquest assessment. Minimal resistance expected. Xalax nodded. This was standard. Most worlds fell to the Empire with minimal bloodshed. The smarter species recognized the futility of resistance and accepted Imperial rule, which, while strict, wasn't particularly cruel. The Empire needed subjects, not corpses. Prepare for closer observation, Xalax ordered. Move us into high orbit around their planet. Maintain stealth protocols. The Vigilant glided silently through the void, its advanced cloaking systems rendering it invisible to primitive scanning technology. As they passed the gas giant with its impressive rings, Xalax felt a sense of satisfaction. Another world to add to the Emperor's collection. Commander, Communications Officer Trill's voice was unusually sharp. I'm detecting an unusual transmission. Source? Xalax asked, turning toward the communication station. Trill's facial tentacles writhed in confusion. It appears to be directed at us, sir. Impossible, Zul interjected. Our cloaking field is operating at full capacity. A Category 3 civilization couldn't possibly. Attention Solaran, Imperial Vessel Vigilant. A calm voice echoed through the bridge, causing every officer to freeze in shock. The message was in perfect Imperial standard. This is Earth Unified Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Please identify your purpose or withdraw immediately. Silence fell across the bridge. Xalax's inner eyelids blinked rapidly in disbelief. Not only had these humans detected their presence despite the most advanced cloaking technology in the galaxy, but they were speaking Imperial Standard, a language they should have no knowledge of. How? Xalax began, but was interrupted by an alarming report from Zul. Commander, multiple defense platforms activating around the planet. I'm detecting energy signatures consistent with Imperial-grade weapon systems. Before Xalax could respond, the ship lurched violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. What's happening? Xalax demanded, gripping his command chair. Something has breached our security systems, Trill reported, her voice tinged with panic. They're accessing our databases. Impossible, Vereen exclaimed. Our quantum encryption has been bypassed, Trill finished. They're downloading our star charts, tactical information, everything. The ship's main view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. The being had dark skin, short hair, and wore a uniform with insignia Xalax didn't recognize. Its features were alien but displayed a calmness that was somehow more unsettling than hostility would have been. "Commander Xalax of the Solaran Empire," the human said. "I am Admiral Chen of Earth's Unified Defense Command. We've been aware of your empire's expansion patterns for some time now." Xalax struggled to maintain his composure. "How do you know our language? How did you detect our vessel?" The human's expression remained unchanged. "We've been intercepting your communications for decades, Commander. Your empire isn't as secretive as you believe. As for your vessel, our quantum detection grid identified your warp signature the moment you entered the Kuiper Belt." "This is preposterous," Xalax said, though uncertainty had begun to gnaw at him. "Your species is classified as Category 3. You shouldn't possess this level of technology." Admiral Chen smiled slightly. "A deliberate deception, Commander. We found it advantageous to appear less advanced than we are. Your own records indicate that the Empire typically overlooks civilizations below Category 5, and when conquest is deemed necessary, fewer resources are allocated." Verine's voice was barely audible. "Commander, I'm detecting defense systems throughout the system, not just around Earth. There are weapons platforms around every major planetary body, within the asteroid belt, and structures we didn't detect earlier on their moon." The human's expression hardened slightly. "Let me be clear, Commander Xalax. Earth is not open for conquest or integration, as your empire euphemistically calls it. We value our independence and have prepared extensively to maintain it." As if to emphasize this point, several small objects detached from Earth's orbital stations and accelerated toward the Vigilant with impossible speed. "Multiple incoming projectiles," Zol shouted. "Evasive maneuvers," Xalax ordered, but before the helmsman could respond, the projectiles halted their approach, hovering just 100 kilometers from the ship, close enough to strike in seconds if needed. "Those are merely a fraction of our defensive capabilities," Admiral Chen continued. "We could have destroyed your vessel the moment you entered our system, but we prefer diplomacy when possible." Xalax felt a cold sensation run down his spine. Fear, an emotion he rarely experienced. "What do you want?" "Simply this. You will return to your empire and deliver a message. Earth and the Sol system are off-limits to the Solaran Empire. Any attempt at conquest will be met with force sufficient to repel it. We have no interest in your territories or resources. We simply wish to be left alone." Xalax's mind raced. This wasn't how these missions typically ended. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, but none had ever displayed technology this advanced while appearing so primitive. None had ever accessed Imperial systems with such ease. "And if I refuse?" Xalax asked, trying to project authority he no longer felt. The human's expression didn't change, but the projectiles surrounding the Vigilant began to glow with energy. "Then you would not return to deliver any message at all, Commander," Chen said simply. "But I don't believe that will be necessary. You strike me as a rational being." Xalax considered his options. The mission parameters didn't account for a situation like this. The Empire would send a conquest fleet eventually. But if these humans could detect and penetrate their most advanced vessels so easily, what else might they be capable of? "I will convey your message," Xalax said finally, "but I cannot guarantee the Emperor's response." Admiral Chen nodded. "We understand. We'll be prepared regardless. You have 1 hour to leave our system. After that, we cannot guarantee your safety." The transmission ended. The bridge remained silent as the crew awaited Xalax's orders. After a long moment, he spoke. "Set course for Imperial space, maximum speed." As the Vigilant turned and accelerated away from Earth, Xalax stared at the viewscreen, watching the blue planet recede. For the first time in his long career, he had encountered a species that might be beyond the Empire's ability to subjugate. The Emperor would be furious. But perhaps, Xalax thought, fury would give way to caution once the full capabilities of these humans were understood. Because one thing was abundantly clear: Earth was not the primitive world they had expected. and the humans had drawn a line in the cosmic sand. Cross it at your peril. The Empire strikes back, and regrets it. The Imperial throne room on Solara Prime stretched for nearly a kilometer, its obsidian floors reflecting the countless stars visible through the transparent ceiling. Emperor Vexcor, a towering figure with gold-flecked skin and 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon, sat motionless as Commander Xalax finished his report. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any outburst would have been. Around the chamber, the 12 High Counselors shifted uncomfortably in their hovering thrones. "Let me ensure I understand correctly," Emperor Vexcor finally spoke, his voice deceptively soft. "A single planet of bipedal primates not only detected our most advanced stealth vessel, but also breached our supposedly impenetrable security systems, and then threatened you with destruction if you didn't leave their territory." Xalax kept his head bowed. "Yes, Emperor. Their technological capabilities far exceed their Category 3 classification. I believe they have deliberately concealed their advancement to avoid drawing attention." High Counselor Drax, Minister of Conquest, leaned forward. A disturbing development indeed, but perhaps an opportunity as well. A civilization with such technology would be a valuable addition to the Empire. Emperor Vexcor's upper eyes narrowed. Or they could represent the first genuine threat we've encountered in millennia. "With respect, Emperor," Fleet Admiral Cross interjected, his metallic voice resonating through implants that had replaced most of his original biology. "No single planetary civilization can stand against the combined might of the Imperial fleet. I recommend immediate action to demonstrate the consequences of defying the Empire." The Emperor's gaze shifted to the Fleet Admiral. "What do you propose?" "A subjugation fleet. 50 warships, including 3 planet crackers. We'll give them one opportunity to surrender unconditionally. If they refuse, we destroy their moon as a demonstration. That typically breaks the will of even the most resistant species." The Emperor considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Make it so, but I want frequent updates. If these humans possess technology that could threaten Imperial vessels, I want to know immediately." Admiral Cross saluted, his cybernetic arm whirring softly with the movement. "It will be done, Emperor. The humans will learn what all others have learned. Resistance against the Solaran Empire is futile." 3 months later, the Imperial subjugation fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Cross stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, the fleet's flagship and most powerful warship in the Imperial Armada. At 18 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could reduce continents to ash, it had never failed to inspire terror in those unfortunate enough to witness its approach. "Status report," Cross demanded, his cybernetic eye scanning the tactical display. "All ships present and accounted for, Admiral," reported his second-in-command, Commander Vrel. "Long-range scans show increased activity within the system compared to our last survey. They appear to have expanded their presence on their satellite and the 4th planet." Cross nodded. "Have they detected us?" "No unusual activity to suggest they're aware of our presence," Vrel confirmed. "Our arrival point is beyond their expected detection range." "Excellent. Prepare the transmission. We'll offer them the standard terms of surrender before commencing the demonstration." The fleet began its advance through the solar system, maintaining a tight formation that would maximize their combined firepower when they reached Earth. As they passed the gas giant with its impressive rings, Cross allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This would be another glorious victory for the Empire. "Admiral," the sensor officer called out suddenly, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the asteroid belt ahead." Cross frowned. "Specify." "They appear to be artificial constructs, sir. Thousands of them, embedded within the asteroids." Before Cross could respond, the tactical officer shouted, "Multiple energy spikes. They're activating." Throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of previously dormant devices suddenly illuminated. A web of energy began to form between them, creating a shimmering barrier that stretched across the fleet's path. They've detected us, Cross realized. Maximum shields. Prepare for. He never finished the sentence. The energy web suddenly pulsed, and a wave of gravitational distortion swept through space, engulfing the leading ships of the fleet. The distortion warped space-time itself, twisting the massive Imperial warships as if they were made of soft clay. 5 vessels, each carrying thousands of crew members, imploded instantly, crushed by forces that defied Imperial understanding of physics. Evasive maneuvers. Cross bellowed as alarms blared across the bridge. All ships, scatter formation. The remaining vessels broke their tight formation, attempting to find a way through or around the energy web, but the web expanded, adapting to their movements. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer reported, her voice trembling. From Earth. A human face appeared on the main view screen, the same Admiral Chen who had confronted Commander Xalax months earlier. "Admiral Cross of the Solaran Empire," Chen said calmly, as if they were engaged in a routine conversation rather than the opening stages of a war. "Your presence here indicates your Emperor has chosen conflict over coexistence. We regret this decision." Cross's cybernetic hand crushed the armrest of his command chair. "You are addressing the might of the Solaran Empire, human. The destruction of a few ships will not save you. Surrender now, and your species may yet survive as servants rather than examples." Admiral Chen's expression remained unchanged. "You misunderstand our position, Admiral. What you've witnessed is merely one of several defense systems we've established throughout our solar system. The gravitational web was designed specifically to counter your fleet's formation tactics, which we've studied extensively." Another alarm sounded on the bridge. "Sir, multiple launch signatures detected from Earth's moon," the tactical officer reported. "Thousands of small objects accelerating at impossible speeds." On the view screen, Chen continued, "We've observed the Empire's conquest of 63 worlds over the past century. We've analyzed your tactics, your weapons, your weaknesses. Everything about your operation follows predictable patterns, including your arrogance." The swarm of projectiles from the moon spread out, surrounding the scattered Imperial fleet. Each was no larger than a shuttle, but sensors indicated energy signatures that defied explanation. "What are those?" Cross demanded. "Quantum disruptors," the science officer replied, his voice barely audible. "They're targeting our drive systems." As if on cue, the disruptors activated, sending precisely calibrated energy pulses into the Imperial vessels. Ship after ship reported drive failures as their faster-than-light engines were rendered inoperable by technology that seemed centuries beyond Imperial science. "This is impossible," Cross whispered. "No Category 3 civilization could have developed." "We are not Category 3, Chen interrupted. "That was a fiction we maintained for our protection. In truth, we've been aware of the wider galaxy for centuries. We intercepted your communications, studied your technology, and prepared accordingly." The Indomitable shuddered as several disruptors focused on its massive drive section. "You have 2 options, Admiral," Chen continued. "You can order your remaining functional ships to retreat beyond the Kuiper Belt, or you can continue this attack and lose your entire fleet. The choice is yours." Cross stared at the human, rage and disbelief warring within him. In thousands of years of Imperial conquest, no civilization had ever repelled a subjugation fleet. The Empire had always been the superior force. But now, watching as his mighty warships were systematically disabled by weapons he couldn't comprehend, he faced an unthinkable reality. "And if we withdraw?" he asked, his voice strained. "Then you will return to your Emperor with a message," Chen replied. "Earth is off-limits to the Solaran Empire. We have no interest in galactic politics or expansion. We simply wish to be left alone. Any future incursion into our system will be met with increasingly severe consequences." Across the fleet, more ships reported complete drive failure. The Indomitable itself was losing power as the disruptors continued their work. With each passing moment, the prospect of retreat diminished. "Admiral," Commander Vrel said quietly, "we cannot win this engagement. Our weapons cannot target their devices effectively, and we're losing mobility. If we don't withdraw the functioning ships now, we risk losing the entire fleet." Cross closed his 5 organic eyes, leaving only his cybernetic one to witness his greatest defeat. "Order all operational vessels to retreat beyond the system boundary," he finally commanded. "We will deliver their message." As the remnants of the once mighty subjugation fleet limped away from Earth, leaving behind disabled ships and shattered Imperial pride, Admiral Cross stared at the tactical display, showing the small blue planet receding in the distance. For the first time in the Soldaran Empire's long history, they had encountered a species that had not only resisted conquest, but had done so with such overwhelming technological superiority that the outcome had never truly been in doubt. Earth had drawn a line in the cosmos and enforced it with devastating effectiveness. The message was clear to even the most stubborn Imperial minds. Earth is off limits. Cross that line at your peril. In the vast tapestry of galactic politics, a new power had revealed itself, not through conquest or expansion, but through the simple, unmistakable demonstration that some worlds are not to be trifled with. And as news of the defeat spread across the Empire, a phrase began to circulate among both the conquered worlds and their overlords: "Beware the humans." They drew a line, and the Empire blinked.